hey there, I'm Liv and welcome back to my channel Endless Pages. Today's video is my April TBR video. Yay! I will be participating in the Realm-A-Thon readathon created by Cassidy from Colours with Cassidy. This book readathon I feel like has taken the book community by storm. Everyone is so excited. I see everyone pledging their allegiance on Twitter to their different teams. I will be joining Team Escana, which is co-hosted by Bex from Bewitched Bex and Jade from JD Ray Reads. Yeah, I feel like everyone is so obsessed and so hyped about this readathon. I loved planning my TBR for it. It was such a unique readathon. I feel like when Cassidy does her videos, she really likes to make sure she puts her own unique spin on things, and that is certainly the way she has done this for her readathon. You can tell the amount of effort and work and planning and love that went into this readathon, so that makes me even more excited to be participating, and I have a few good books to talk about. So of course I will leave all the important links in the description below if you want to join this readathon. Basically, if you don't know the prompts, you can use up to 5 prompts on your book, and there's no set limit of how many books you need to read. Just read as many as you want, and the prompts are a little different from a usual readathon, which is so cool. So you have prompts that are positive prompts, so they add points to your team, and then you have prompts that are negative prompts, so they can take away points from other teams. I think majority of my books are going to be positive. I might have one that's going to be a negative, but I will of course tell you which is which as I go through the books. First up, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This book is such an anticipated one of mine. That's going to block my face. I am beyond, I'm not going to say excited because I always say that word. I am very, very pumped to read this book. I've heard only good stuff and that is such a fun read. This is actually going to be a book that will meet the negative prompt. So again, prompts that are going to take away points from the other team, one of the other teams. So the prompts, Cassidy says you can make it stretch as much as you want, and I'm certainly doing that. So this meets 3 of the prompts. So read a book in an isolated setting. Can't get much more isolated than space. Read a sci-fi, perfect, and read a book with red on the cover. So there's a little bit of orangey red. That's going to count for me. This book is about our main character called Ryland, and Ryland is the sole survivor on this mission where he's sent into space to save humanity and save the planet. But there's a problem. He wakes up and he can't super remember anything. Can't remember his name, and he definitely can't remember the assignment that he's been sent on or what he's meant to be doing. All that he knows is that he has woken up on this ship, and he's the only survivor, and there's 2 corpses there as well. So it is up to our main character Ryland to solve a scientific mystery and face a extinction level threat to humanity. The clock is ticking down and Ryland has to do this all by himself, or does he? So I'm so excited that I finally added an anticipated book straight to my TBR. I just got this last month, and I was so tempted to just ignore my TBR last month and read this, but I didn't. I waited, and I really hope it is worth the wait. The next book I have is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This is the 2nd book in the Arc of the Sky trilogy. So I will link it up here, but recently I made a video of series that I have started and need to continue on. This is definitely one of them that I just recently purchased this book as well, as to kind of tell myself you have no excuse, you have the physical book, you need to continue on the series. This book is going to meet the positive prompts for this readathon. So weapon on the cover, got a little scythe, we've got green on the cover, we've got read YA, and we've got read a book from where the author's from a different country from yours. I feel like that's a very easy prompt for an Australian. So those are the 4 prompts that this book is meeting. So the first book, Scythe, in this series is about a world in the future where humanity has kind of conquered death. There's no sickness, illness, that's the same thing. There's no illnesses, no disease, no homelessness, no starvation, no overpopulation. but to make sure that continues on, there's these people called Sky, and their role is basically population control to keep, and they choose who is going to die to keep the population level stable and to ensure overpopulation doesn't happen. So I enjoyed that book. I can remember a few major plots, but it's been a while since I've read it, so I'll definitely either listen to it on audiobook or read a summary before I jump back into Thunderhead, just because I don't want to jump back into this without all of my knowledge of what happened in the first book. So that is my plan for this. Next up is The Gracier, and this is by Kim Liggett. This is a book that featured in my These Books Will Self-Destruct video. I'll link it up here. That's a fun one. This is a book that I have ignored for a very long time, but the plot super intrigues me. This book meets the negative prompts for this readathon. So read a book with red on the cover. We've got quite a bit of red. Read a book in an isolated setting, and you'll understand that prompt in a moment when I tell you the blurb. Read a TBR veteran, so perfect. And then potentially buddy reading this with Paige from Pages with Paige. I know her TBR is going to be a lot this month, so if she doesn't get around to it, that's fine. I'm probably still going to read it anyway, and it matches the other prompts, so if I have to take away a point for the buddy read, that's okay. So The Gracier, this book is about a girl called Tyranny, and Tyranny lives in this super isolated village where girls at the age of 16 are sent out into the wilderness in the forest because it's believed that they kind of have this impure magic. So they believe this year of surviving the wilderness and surviving each other will make them pure and ready for marriage when they return to the village. So The Gracier is forbidden to be spoken about, but every girl knows that the coming year will change them if they survive it. This plot has me so intrigued, like so intrigued, and talking about it on my self-destruct video made me want to read it like straight away, so I put it straight onto my first TBR. Then we have As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, the third and final book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy, a series that I'm obsessed with and I love so much. So the prompts for this book are positive prompts. So we have read a YA, we have read a book where the author is from a different country from you, and read a spooky book. So the first two books were super spooky and scary, so, well, scary to me. So I'm counting that. Like Cassidy said, you can stretch the prompts, so I'm stretching. The first book in this series is about a girl called Andy Bell, who is a high school student, and she is murdered by her boyfriend Sal, and then Sal inevitably takes his own life. We then jump 5 years later to another high schooler called Pip, who is our main character, and Pip still thinks that the case, that there's more to it, that Sal, she's really unsure if Sal actually killed Andy. She knew Sal when she was younger and she just doesn't think he's capable of that. So for her final kind of project, Pip decides to reinvestigate the case and see what if she actually finds out new stuff and what actually happened. And as she does, she starts to discover lots of big secrets and dirty secrets of all the people in her little small town. So she kind of dangerously gets dragged into this investigation. It is, like I said, it is so fun, fast-paced, lots of fun twists and turns, and the thrillers I love where you investigate with the main character and you find stuff out with her. It's such a fun series, and I'm really sad that I'm almost finished the series, that I'm up to the final book, because it's been a series that I'm absolutely obsessed with. I'm really nervous to read this. I hope it's good because I've given the previous 2 books 5 stars, so I want to see if I can get all 3 books 5 stars in the series. This is another one that I am beyond excited to get to. So next up is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer R. Armentrout. This is the 3rd book in the Blood and Ash series. The 4th book just came out a couple of days ago and has caused some drama in the community. Lots of mixed thoughts on that. This is probably not objectively the best series, but it's fun and adult and smutty, so I like it. And I'm going to read the 3rd book because I have been, again, like Project Hail Mary, craving to read this, but it was too thick to fit in the end of March, so making it maybe the first book I read in April. We will see. So this book is meeting positive prompts. So we have read a book with a map. This one has a lovely, lovely map. Read a book with a weapon on the cover. We have, oh, actually, is there a weapon? Oh yeah, we have a massive blade right there on the cover. And then we have read a romance. Definitely plenty of romance in the previous books. And read a chunky book. This is 600-ish pages. That's very chunky for me. And then read a book with where the author is from a different country from you. I used that prompt as many times as I could. I don't know how to succinctly say the plot from Blood and Ash. Basically, it's about a girl called Poppy, and Poppy is known as the Maiden, and the Maiden is someone who is not meant to be touched, not have sex, stay a virgin, blah blah blah, and she's meant to be like the savior of her people because they're waiting for her to ascend. It's a whole religious thing. And then Poppy gets this guard called Hawk, and then I think you can tell what goes from there. There's a little bit of sexual tension between the two, and Poppy likes to break the rules a lot. So that's just a very, very, very basic explanation of the plot. There's a lot of political stuff going on as well that I can't succinctly say. But yeah, I love this book series so much. It's a fun adult series, I'll just say that, and I'm still very tempted to make this my first read of April. Finally, The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Ardern. This is the first book in the Winter Night trilogy. I keep going to say Nevernight trilogy, that is J. Kristoff. No, Winter Night trilogy. This is going to meet positive prompts, so read a book with green on the cover. There's lots of green and the different little flowers. The cover is so pretty. We have read a book where the author is from a different country than you. I'm reading that prompt every time. And then this is also going to meet the sub-genre prompt. So each team in the reading challenge has a different sub-genre that's worth 10 points. And for Team Escana, it's polar fantasy. I asked Cassidy and she said this totally works for that. So I'm counting it. So potentially if I read this book, which I will because I'm going to stick to this TBR, is potentially a 14-point book, which is awesome. This is set in Russia and we follow a servant who is telling these children of this family all these stories of folklore and magic and the Winter King, which is very frowned upon by the church. But to our main character, Vasya, these are more than just stories. She can see the house spirits that guard her home, and she senses the growing forces of dark magic in the woods. I've heard really good stuff about this. I've heard that it's really whimsical and fun. So it's been sitting on my shelf for a while and I'm happy I finally put it on a TBR. Okay, so here is my TBR. I literally can't hold it, it's so heavy. I'm literally kidding myself if I think I can read all of these books. This is a packed TBR for me. But again, a TBR like last month that I am beyond excited to read. I feel like at the moment I've been making really cool TBRs. TBRs that really excite me and really making the prompts of readathons work for me. Putting books on that I am really, really, really pumped to get into. So it's going to be a tough reading month, but I have a bit of a break from TAFE. So hopefully that means that I will have more time to read and actually get into all of these amazing sounding books. So there we have it. It's the 6 books I'll be reading in the month of April. Let me know in the comments, what are you planning on reading in the month of April? Are you participating in the Realm-A-Thon readathon? Or if not, just what are you reading? I'd love to know. How many books are you planning on reading? I would love to chat about that. As always, all of my social media links are in the description below if you'd love to come chat about books on other platforms. That would be awesome as well. I post new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, so if you'd like to subscribe and get notified when I post, that would also be lovely. And I'll see you in whatever I post next. Bye!